forecast first from KARK4, your weather authority.
Another blast of Arctic air making its way across Arkansas during the course of very early this morning. That helped keep our high temperatures only to the 30s to around 40 degrees. We've got clear skies, though, thanks to that area of high pressure. Those skies will stay clear overnight tonight. Some high clouds moving into Texas may breeze through the area tomorrow. But get ready for another cold night, although things will be warming up a bit, not only in the oven, but also outside. Your forecast first for Little Rock, clear skies by 7 o'clock. We're already down below freezing, and we're going to start your Thanksgiving sunny and 24 degrees. Arkansas News That Matters starts now.
Now, from the station you count on for local news that matters, this is KARK 4 News at 6.
A jam-packed jail in Pulaski County may lead to safety concerns for law enforcement. The sheriff already saying it poses a threat to the community. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ashley Kepps.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Clausen. Nonviolent offenders in some cases are turned away from the jail. While it may not be ideal, it has its upsides. Electronic monitoring of suspects in Pulaski County has continued to increase, in some cases because of overcrowding. And as KARK4's Josh Berry found out, it could be leading to safer streets. Is that true, Josh?
Yeah, that's right, Bob. And you know, last week the sheriff here at the Pulaski County Jail, he announced that they are nearly 100 inmates more than their official capacity. And because of that, in some cases, they're forced to only keep their violent offenders. In the meantime, however, electronic monitoring of the nonviolent offenders is on the rise. Freddie Thomason and Johnny Wagner can track their suspected criminals down to within 3 feet. The Offender Criminal Intelligence Center gives them a point on where each person is every minute.
Not 5 minutes go by that I haven't got 3 or 4 points on.
Wagner runs his company, Sentencing Options Specialist, specializing in electronic monitoring. These devices, it helps agencies cut down on costs spent on the people they arrest.
Because they get a offender in there that's costing them, you know, thousands of dollars a month. If they can put them on a monitor, even if they have to pay for it themselves, they're way ahead.
With overcrowding in the Pulaski County Jail becoming more of a concern, Thomason says he's installed more ankle monitors on suspects in Pulaski County than ever before.
There's a lot more being done now.
And they've begun working with the Little Rock Police Department.
Right now, the ankle monitoring system is still in an early stage for us.
It's something they've turned to as some of their nonviolent offenders are booked, fingerprinted, but let go at the Pulaski County Jail.
It affects us because those people are going to be back out with the possibility of reoffending.
Which is where the need for electronic monitoring can come into play.
We are helping law enforcement in fighting crime.
And while overcrowding sends some offenders back, the crime doesn't always continue.
The burglaries in that area would drop.
Now, a stat this company likes to use is that just 3% of the population commits 98% of the crime, of course, leading to repeat offenders. They say that even when an ankle monitor is put on somebody, they'll oftentimes go back out into the streets and commit some of the same crimes. And because they can track them down to those exact location, that leads to more solved cases and safer streets despite overcrowding. We're live in Little Rock. Josh Berry, KARK 4 News.
Thanks, Josh. A server at a Conway restaurant says she was fired after calling police to report a woman drinking alcohol while breastfeeding her child at the same time. 28-year-old Tasha Adams was arrested on last Wednesday. She's now charged with endangering the welfare of a minor. This all happened at Gusano's Pizzeria just off Dave Ward in Conway. Server Jackie Connors says she watched Adams consume drink after drink and call police.
Me being a mom, just seeing something like that and seeing a baby that can't speak for itself, having a parent do something like that is just, it's unacceptable.
2 days later, Connors says she was fired for taking the situation into her own hands. And we asked a Gusano's manager today who said the call to police was not the reason she lost her job, but declined to elaborate. A police report from last Wednesday says the 7-month-old was released to family members.
Now to a KARK4 News update for you. Caught in Colorado, the man suspected of a death in Hot Springs, the death and murder of a 911 dispatcher behind bars, an arrest warrant. Kevin Duck sits in a Colorado jail right now. He'll go before a judge Friday for extradition proceedings to bring him back to Arkansas. He faces a first-degree murder charge in the 2011 death of his girlfriend, Donna Natsky.
A woman hoping to keep her pot-bellied pig in Little Rock city limits will now have to wait until the first of the year to see if she can keep it. According to the city, the board of directors will hear this new ordinance next year. The Animal Services Advisory Board approved a measure to keep pigs and their owners' neighbors 300 feet apart. That measure would require an approval vote from the board of directors in order to go into effect.
Turning now to money matters today, one of the biggest travel days of the year. Everyone trying to get somewhere. Gas prices hovered around the $2 range for some time here in the Natural State, but now, wow, imagine this. The average price for regular unleaded gas is $3.07. It comes at a time of year when many folks are on the road to be with families. KARK4's Dustin Barnes breaks down the cost compiled by U.S. Energy Information Administration. The numbers, they'll surprise you.
University of Central Arkansas junior Kelton Ray tries to manage money the best way he can, but he says pumping gas drains his dollars.
The inconsistency in the gas prices make it kind of hard to buy gas when I don't really have that much money coming in my bank account.
And it's easy to blame the gas station for the sticker shock since they're the ones we're paying.
I don't really understand how the whole gas system works, like where all the money is distributed to.
We did the math. The price of a gallon of gas here is $3.14. 71% goes to crude oil. That equals to $2.22. Refining costs, 18 cents. Uncle Sam has to get his share through taxes. That's 38 cents. And here's the shocker. The convenience stores and gas suppliers all have to share this 11%, 35 cents.
I've got to eke out a living between what I can buy it for and what I can sell it for.
Steve Farron with Arkansas Oil Marketers Association says gas stations really get crumbs when you break it down by coins. And then there's competition with other stores.
It's in the tanks, it's got a fixed price. So that margin is elastic. It moves based on what you and I have to sell it for.
Look at the gas station clerk as the bad guy.
Kelton has a different perception now.
They're not the true culprits. They're getting the short end of the stick.
Perhaps the relationship between the clerk and customer will change. In Little Rock, Dustin Barnes, KARK 4 News.
That's why they sell more than just the gas. Gas stations get a small piece, you saw right there, of part of the pie, especially when folks pay with a credit or debit card. That's why they reward cash-paying customers with discounted gas. Some things to think about.
And it's a Money Matters story about a purchase you never want to think about making.
But every one of us will either have to plan a funeral for a loved one or for ourselves. It's just matter of fact, and as KARK4's David Goen shows us, the cost of dying in Arkansas is not cheap.
I know a lot of times in the public's eye, that's what we're going to be viewed as, is we're going to get you in there at an emotional time and try to stress buying something expensive. I mean, we don't.
There's likely no more difficult purchase we'll ever make, and more likely than not, one very few of us spend much time contemplating.
I'll tell you, today's society, they're not thinking ahead a lot on it.
Steve Ballard sees it every day. As part of Arkansas's funeral home business for over 30 years, Ballard says planning arrangements for you or your loved one's death isn't easy, but we should all do it.
And when you select a funeral home, funeral directors, you ought to be able to go in and pretty much tell immediately if they're real.
What may seem most real for people, the cost. According to the National Funeral Directors Association, the cost of dying has never been more expensive. The average funeral now over $7,000, more than double what it was 20 years ago.
Cremation, the first thing people think about is direct cremation, no services, less expensive, that type of thing. Not necessarily so. That's our fault.
While the average cost of a funeral continues to increase, keep in mind there are also hidden costs that come from cemeteries that have absolutely nothing to do necessarily with the funeral service, such as vaults that almost every cemetery in the state requires.
If someone selects something and they're put in a bad financial situation, we are too.
Beyond working at Roller Chenal in West Little Rock, Ballard also serves on the State Board of Funeral Directors and Embalmers. He says there's one thing all consumers should never have to ask for.
They need to know what the prices are at the very beginning and need to have an opportunity to look at those. The Federal Trade Commission, it's not good enough just laying there on that table in front of them. You got to hand it to them. The general consumer, is not necessarily going to know that.
They're going to know now. So what would you tell them? If
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, hey, they walk in. Can I have your general price list?
If you don't know funeral home prices up front, consider it a big red flag.
You don't want them to go in and be looking at the caskets for several minutes and then say, oh, by the way, here's your price list. Violation.
Ballard says every funeral home will have different prices, different decisions every family will have to make.
The service itself, there's value there, tremendous value. That's what we do. If we lose that, we're losing totally what we do as professionals.
Preparation and a little shopping will likely make the most difficult time seem slightly less overwhelming. And one key takeaway, simply look around. Not everyone prices their funeral costs in the same way, and also establish what's important to you, what aspects of a funeral service, if you're going to have one, would be of value to you and your family. Back to you.
Great information there, David. Thanks very much. Coming up, more an annual charity event that helps fight cancer called Gallery of Hope.
And even with full sunshine all day today, we started at 26, only made it to 42 this afternoon. Warmer weather's in the forecast. We'll let you know when it's coming and how long it'll stick around in just a couple minutes.
From the station that brings you local news that matters, this is KARK 4 News at 6 in high definition. With Bob Clausen, Ashley Katz, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan, and Aaron Peters with your Razorback Nation report.